We should be going live on Twitch now. Cody, go ahead and say some stuff so I can see some feedback. There we go. Okay, I got you.
That's
I have a monitor of the desktop noise, and it monitors the of Skype.
the vocals.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably turn that off. So this is that.
Okay.
And we are live. You can hear us. It's got a little bit of a delay, but I mean, noise, and it monitors the of Skype vocals. So, all right, Cody, you ready?
Yeah, I've been ready.
All right, guys, what is going on? It is another wonderful weekend here at XEN Speaks. We are actually live right now on twitch.tv/XEN Speaks. If you are coming in from Twitter, thank you. If you're coming in from Facebook, we appreciate it. We will gladly involve anyone who wants to come in and talk. So, but today with me is Cody.
How's it going, guys?
Alfonso will be here shortly. And today we are broadcasting live from the Mad Vapor in Malden, South Carolina with the owner, David O'Brien.
Hey, how's it going?
And we're going to start out talking a little bit about the vaping industry as a whole since we are here today, and we'll get to the comic book talk in a little bit. But go ahead and tell us about vaping.
Okay, well, basically, vaping was created to help people quit smoking, get off all of the nasty chemicals and the coal tar and cancer-causing things that cigarettes can cause. And it was just a way to be able to be a little bit more safe with quitting smoking. It's more like smoking, so it's a lot easier to quit smoking doing this than using patches or gum and things like that. You still inhale. You could have nicotine in it and inhale it as well. But the benefit is that you have lots of different flavors you can choose from. Some companies have 400 different flavors. Some companies only have 35 or 40, similar to what we have here. But then there's also premium lines as well. So you can buy pre-bottled stuff and have it shipped in that are kind of crafted recipes, if you will, of different flavors put together to kind of make a really good symphony of flavors, all in one juice. So it's definitely helped out a lot of people. At least in the upstate South Carolina, there are a lot of people who have quit smoking using this. Some people go all the way and quit vaping too, but most people start doing this as a replacement because it's so much safer. They may cut down to zero nicotine. It's gone so far now to even become a hobby among a lot of people. People who want to blow the biggest clouds and that kind of thing too. It's kind of, a fun thing. Some people invest thousands of dollars into equipment. But you don't have to do that to quit smoking. It's one of those things where you can come in and spend $25, $30 to get a very basic starter kit that's going to be good enough for you to quit smoking on. I recommend if you're really serious about quitting smoking and not just to try it, investing a little bit more money up front. It's definitely going to pay off in the end because you're going to get a much better experience. But it's really helped many people. One number to throw out at you: teenage smoking overall in the last 3 years is down 55%, probably partially due to the vaping industry. We don't sell to minors, but minors do get their hands on things and they try to get it any way they can. But if we can keep people off of cigarettes and from starting smoking in the first place, I think we've done a good job too.
Most definitely. Cody, do you have any? I know you had said something to me like last week about some stuff. Do you have any questions? Because I have some questions I want to ask.
Well, he did explain a lot that I was interested in knowing as far as the vaping industry. But to me, it almost looks like it's also just like basically like the cool fad thing to do right now too, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be it can be seen as a fad. It's so new. It's kind of time will tell how well it lasts and that kind of thing too. There are a lot of impending FDA regulations that have been proposed too. And the FDA has actually come right out and said that they have put a lot of these monetary stipulations in their regulations to drive a lot of small companies out of the business and only have 2 or 3 large companies that are doing this. To me, that kind of has the hidden meaning that they're allowing the cigarette companies to get involved because they have deep pockets. They owe the state governments a lot of money, and they're really worried that if the revenues from tobacco sales decline at a rate that they're declining now and keep that way, the states are not going to be able to get all the money that they were assuming they were going to get from the tobacco settlements back in the 90s. And so I think that's a big issue. Money is a big driver in a lot of the regulations. I mean, they're basically asking $300,000 per SKU, and a SKU is basically your code for a certain size bottle of liquid with a certain nicotine level. So say you have one flavor, but you sell it in 3 different sizes, so that triples your SKU. But then you have 5 nicotine levels on top of that. Then there's going to be 15 different versions of that liquid, and they're going to charge $300,000 per SKU to have that approved to go to market. And that's going to drive almost everybody except for the large companies out of business.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a little bit of a list of questions. So generally when people come in, I know they're very curious about vaping and the juices and things like that. So what exactly is the juice that they use for vaping?
The juice is made up of primarily 4 main ingredients. You have propylene glycol, which is actually what's used also in asthma inhalers to carry the medication. So there's a certain level of that in all juices. There is the food flavoring, which is U.S. FDA approved food flavoring that you would find in almost any kind of food that's out there that's a processed food. Then there's also vegetable glycerin, which is a natural substance that's produced from vegetables. It's used for a wide variety of different things, including lubrication. They also use those in fog machines that you see at concerts and performances and things like that. It's perfectly safe to breathe and that kind of thing too. But then they kind of combine all those together with or without nicotine. Nicotine is an optional thing. Basically, all juices are offered without nicotine. So if people want to try this and not have the nicotine, they don't have to worry about that. Typically, what goes on is your lower quality, and a lot of people's house lines start out with a 50-50 blend of the PG, VG. Now, my store, we do a 30% PG and 70% VG blend of all of our house juices. And the reason behind that is it's a little bit less of a throat hit when you actually inhale it. Because when you add nicotine to the equation, too, that's going to give it a little bit more irritation as well. Right. So the lower the PG, you can go to a higher nicotine level if somebody needs to. Say they smoke 2 packs a day, they're going to want to have a 24 milligram nicotine in there, because that's going to satisfy their craving, and then they can drop down from there to 18, 12, 6, and on down. Right. So it just gives you a better overall experience with higher VG than PG.
Right. And you're talking about nicotine, and so someone who smokes, let's say, a pack a day, how much nicotine are they actually looking at getting in their vape juice?
They would probably, rule of thumb is, if you smoke a pack a day, it's about a 12 milligram juice that you would need. Half a pack a day would, of course, be 6 milligrams. Pack and a half, 18, and then 2 packs or more, we put you on 24. There are a few people that we have here that we've actually put on 30 milligrams because they smoke 3 to 4 packs a day. And it really, that only is for the first maybe 2 or 3 weeks, just so they can actually start stepping down. It's pretty extreme. There's not a lot of people who smoke more than 2 packs a day, thank goodness. So that's not usually a huge issue, but I do have it here for those who need it.
Yeah, I actually knew a guy where I used to work. Justin actually knows him too, Ricky Bobby. He smokes 4 packs a day.
Wow.
And he got into vaping, and he started out with 12 milligrams, and he hit it the first time, and he instantly went back and stepped down.
Wow.
He said that was just so much harsher than a cigarette to him.
Yeah, it also, as I said, depends on the PG ratio as well. The higher the nicotine, the higher the PG ratio. It's going to make it more of a harsh experience. And the other thing too is also what equipment you use. There's some lower line equipment that will give you very little vapor than some of the things that I have, like a Sigelli 150, which is the battery mod that I use. It goes up to 150 watts, and the Atlantis 2, you don't need as much nicotine because you're getting so much more vapor every time you hit it. So that basically, when I went to a model like this, the Atlantis 2, I stepped down from, with the Nautilus tank, which is a smaller tank and gives less vapor, I stepped down from 12 to 6 immediately. Because it does give you so much more in one draw.
Right. And another thing, I want to know, because see, there's a lot of people out there that are on the fence about vaping. They think it's a lot like smoking cigarettes with the whole secondhand thing. And, there's a lot of studies out there that coincide with that theory, and then there's a lot that don't agree with that theory. Mm-hmm. So where exactly are we on that spectrum with vaping?
Well, basically, first thing I'll say is a study is really only as good as the author of that study.
Right.
There's a lot of different variables that go into doing a study, and if certain variables aren't addressed, the study can be completely skewed. And even a study that actually is intended to show an extreme, if it's taken the wrong way, in the wrong hands, or misread, as was the one in the New England Journal of Medicine earlier this year, the study can be completely misrepresented. Basically, the findings of that whole thing in the New England Journal of Medicine, they found that they had completely misread the study and misrepresented what the authors of the study were trying to do. In fact, the authors were so shocked at what was going on, they were interviewed by a couple of New York Times op-ed columnists, and they couldn't believe that some of the things that the New England Journal had actually published. Their study was on formaldehyde and production of formaldehyde in vaping, and the way that they went about actually producing those high levels of formaldehyde is in such a way that no vapor would actually use their equipment. It would taste so horrible and be so unappealing to use your equipment in that way that there's just no way that anybody would have done it. So that what they did was they took a battery, they defeated one of the safeguards in there that allows you to have the unit cut itself off after 10 seconds. They fired it as hot as they could with virtually no juice in there, and basically were just burning whatever the wicking was in the coils that they were using to see what it would produce. Well, then the New England Journal of Medicine then took that information and said, oh, all of these do that. And don't say that it was at an extreme testing situation where they actually got those. If any vapor actually did that, they would immediately put it down, find out what's wrong with the device, and either that, replace the tank, replace the coil, whatever, and fix that before they ever hit it again.
Right.
So that's a lot of the problems. In terms of the studies, about secondhand vape and things like that, most of the studies I've seen have all said that the secondhand vape is no different from ambient air in most locations. I mean, if you go to California, you're breathing smog. You're breathing probably worse things in the air there than you are with secondhand vape.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much a given. Most big cities, the same thing. You're breathing, carbon monoxide from vehicles in the streets and that kind of thing too. So it really is not a big deal. Now, the only thing that vaping does do in closed confined areas, there is a residue that does settle on things, and that's basically just the component of the vegetable glycerin that actually is a lubricant, so things tend to be slick and feel oily. But you clean your house once a week, hopefully, so that stuff disappears. And so, and maybe on some of your hardwoods and things like that, that need to have the pledge and stuff, you've already done your job, so you just wipe it off and go from there. But in terms of harm for secondhand people who don't want the nicotine and stuff, there's really not much concentration there to worry about.
It just smells like smoke. Like a flavored smoke,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most people when they walk in my shop, they actually say, "Oh, it smells so fruity and good in here."
Yeah.
That's the first thing that they'll say. I mean, I walk in every morning, and the first thing I smell is the really good smell of the different vapes that are still kind of hanging in the air a little bit. But there are people who you blow a cloud outside, they're going to like walk around it, they're going to wait for it to pass, that kind of thing, because they just don't understand it.
Right.
And one of the myths that's out there too that I'll dispel right now is it's not water vapor. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that was the O2 Pure tagline, that it was water vapor or whatever, but apparently the belief is that it's water vapor. It's not water vapor. There's no water really in the product whatsoever, unless the juice manufacturer actually puts distilled water to cut their juice and make it a little bit thinner. Sometimes they do that to make it work in smaller tanks that don't have the big coils that heat up really hot. So but yeah, it's definitely not water vapor. But nicotine exists in nature in a lot of different things. If you eat eggplants, if you eat tomatoes, there's nicotine in those vegetables as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So, my question to the FDA was, okay, if you're going to regulate this as a tobacco product because it has nicotine in it, are you going to tell all the farmers too that you're going to regulate them? I don't get it. How does nicotine make it a tobacco product? But anyway, so, and then as I said, nicotine is also a choice. You don't have to have nicotine in your juice. As a rule, even though we're not regulated to do it, all the stores in my area here do not sell to anybody under 18. Even if their parent comes in with them and says, hey, I want Joey to stop smoking, cigarettes or whatever, as soon as I find out that the parent's buying it for their child that doesn't have an ID, I won't sell it to them.
Right.
Quick question. So I know it's not regulated yet or not, but the ones that don't have nicotine, like the formulas that don't have the nicotine, the juice, that couldn't be sold to under 18 either.
The way we're handling it now, just to be safe and make sure that there's no questions, is to do any of it. You have to be 18 or older.
That makes sense. I mean, that totally makes perfectly good sense. But I was thinking, like, if maybe if finally if they catch on to this and understand the good in vaping, maybe they could, because there, like you said, there's a lot of underage kids that are smoking.
There are, and they're going to figure out how to get it one way or another anyway, I would think. So,
yes.
That's not a big deal, but there are penalties for actually selling to minors or for somebody who buys for a minor and that kind of thing too. And I think I think that needs to be in place. I think that's something that's going to kind of, it's not an unfair thing. It just kind of leaves it in such a way that there's no questions. So I don't even allow anybody under 18 in the store unless they're with a parent. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed when I first came to the store. There's a big sign up on the window. It says must be 18 unless with a parent. And that's the general rule with most vaping stores I've seen around here, is they don't let really anyone under 18 in unless they have someone with them.
Yeah, that makes I mean, that's a good idea, especially like a few years ago with the whole issue with a lot of the smoke shops here having the issue where they were selling the spice and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And that whole crackdown, and underage kids being able to get a hold of that in some way. I don't even know how they got a hold of it, but but we had that whole issue. So I'm sure you have to really be on your P's and Q's, especially when you're messing with a new product, because vaporing is still a very new thing.
Yeah, we even actually put warning labels on all of our bottles, even the ones I sell here as my house line. I've got, keep out of the reach of children, may contain nicotine, and nicotine is an optional ingredient. And then I put the ingredients on there that just says, propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, and food flavoring. Nicotine is an option. So, we also have child safety caps on all of these too. Now, they're not, my house juices, I don't have tamper evident ones, but primarily most of the premium lines that I sell also have the cellophane shrink wrap on them too that seals the bottle so that it hasn't been tampered with.
Oh, cool. So you make your own formulas?
No, not really. I buy my juice actually bulk. I got into this business in February, and I was thinking about doing that, but you basically have to have a chemistry degree to mix this properly, or hire somebody who has that expertise. I didn't want to get involved with that, hiring issues and things like that. What if another shop hires the guy that I've got away from me? I got to find somebody else who can mix it or figure out how to do it myself, which I wasn't interested in doing. I wanted to devote my time into running the business, working with customers, and selling the products. And so for me to do that was not something that seemed to be as profitable for me, especially starting out. It was really just me opening the store the first month and a half. I had one other employee who worked part-time, and I've been real lucky hiring some really great employees. That's one of the big things in this industry is customer service, and product knowledge is a huge thing in this industry. And if you have that, like I have in my shop, you're really doing well, because there's a lot to know. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of different equipment, and having knowledgeable staff is a big plus. But what I had decided to do in terms of the juice was I buy from some reputable resellers that do wholesale juice. One of them actually sells one of my premium lines, or they actually distribute it, and so they make what they call their juice in bulk that they can sell to people to use as house juice. They do it a couple different ways. You can actually have them bottle it for you and put labels on it with your name and your store on it. I was lucky, knew somebody who was a big guy in the industry here, who was phasing out some of his older equipment and stuff. So I bought his label printer that he was phasing out. So I'm able to print all my own labels in-house. I bought bottles, out of China and stuff, that are pharmaceutical grade bottles and stuff. And so I buy the nicotine in 0 and 24, so 0 nicotine juice and 24 in liter bottles, and then I mix the different nicotine levels into smaller bottles in between, and then bottle it all myself here.
It's pretty cool. It sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds like you really get a reward out of this, like just helping people and starting your own business with this, and just something you seem very interested and what's the word I'm looking for? Adamant about, far as proud, about this, and you should be. From the information you gave so far, has been really interesting, because I didn't know really much about vaping. I mean, I know people that do it, and I've seen the effects of where they've been able to start. They start at a higher grade nicotine and been able to go down from there, where they're at points where some people don't even use nicotine anymore. They just vape with no nicotine. So very interesting so far. I'm really enjoying this.
Well, I'm glad to be able to be here and kind of hopefully dispel some of the rumors and let people know that this is actually a safety issue. Not as big a safety issue as everybody's made it out to be. There's a lot of government entities out there that are trying to use scare tactics to get the general public to believe that all e-cigarettes can contain high levels of nicotine and that kind of thing too. I mean, I heard on Pandora the other day, they have an ad. It's from the Wichita Falls County Health District or something like that. And they say, e-cigarettes all contain high levels of nicotine that are very dangerous and this and that and the other. And I'm like, no, they don't. Nicotine is a choice. And, for them to make such a general statement like that, to get out to scare the public is really uncalled for. And I couldn't believe that I was hearing that from a government entity that's charged with, public health and that kind of thing too, for them to make such a general statement that is completely untrue. But we have people like Steve Forbes, Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine is a very well-respected magazine that's been around for decades. Even Steve Forbes has said, a lot of the California Health Department stuff is based on junk science. There's, he was because they have been using and quoting the New England Journal of Medicine's report about the study on formaldehyde in e-cigs, and he said if they really stopped to read the whole report, they'd understand that it was not designed to be used in that manner. And so he's called out some people. There have been a lot of really good articles. The Fox 5 on Fox National News Channel, they've done a lot of things to attack those people who are misinformed and are putting out false information and that kind of thing too. So basically, I guess what we need to do is we need to do a lot more studies. We need to get people to understand the truth and not believe all the hype media. Because these people in the media, they read something, they don't know how to read a study, and then they report on what they think that the study's showing, and it's not even the case. So I think general education is going to be a big help.
Yeah, and that can hurt your business. That can hurt the industry really badly, because you do have many people out there that usually generally listen to podcasting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
For my podcasting fans out there, but like generally people that listen to these news sites and read these newspapers and journals and etc. Usually they treat it like the gospel in a lot of ways. So when they hear that, that's it. Yep. Like then you got people, and then they're super strong minded about something they don't know anything about, that they read off a journal, and then there's no like convincing them otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the sad part comes in with that.
Yeah. You can't believe everything you read. I mean, just because it's in print doesn't mean it's true.
Oh yeah. Just think about if the government, all the money that they've poured into the tobacco companies, poured into the vaping industry, how quick it could grow and turn things around for people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. We need certain regulation, because I'm sure there are shops out there that are not as responsible in the marketplace like I am and other shops in this area. They're mixing. They could be mixing their juices in their bathroom in their shop or something like that. There does need to be some regulation. I agree with having a clean room and things like that to mix your juices. Most companies that are reputable have already adopted what the FDA has proposed, because they have the monetary stuff and cost of going to market won't be implemented until it's actually all finalized. But a lot of the bigger companies have already imposed some of the regulations on how they need to produce their juice and that kind of thing, and have the warning labels and have the child-proof caps and all that kind of stuff too. So we definitely need regulation for that, and we need the same kind of regulations they have in the food industry in terms of making food products that are to go to market, that kind of thing too. And that would be acceptable, and that's not what we're upset about. What we're upset about is them pricing out all of these other companies because they're making it so expensive to do business. Right. And that's the problem. So, because that just leaves it wide open for the cigarette companies now to come in, buy out the bigger companies, and then they're the only ones in the game.
Right, yeah. I mean, and that's something I could see the cigarette companies trying to do, is to buy out these vaping industries and then, put them in a closet somewhere and not bring them out. Keep them hidden so they can just keep selling, keep doing what they're doing. I mean, that's what a lot of companies do, is buy out smaller companies to try to cycle them out so they can keep making their product.
Yep.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the vaping is like people like some people that do vape, which is the only select few I've seen, but they think it's okay to just smoke it in any store or anywhere just because it's vape. And I'm just like, no, that's a little wrong. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, you got to
be walking in a grocery store vaping everywhere,
Exactly. And even though it's not smoke and it's not producing noxious fumes and that kind of stuff, and there's no big worry about secondhand inhalation of it, you got to be respectful to other people. And I agree with that. People who are walking through the mall blowing huge clouds in the mall with everybody having to walk through it behind them, that's wrong. They need to, that's something they can do in their own home or outside. And there's no excuse for that, because there's such a wide variety of products that are available that are a little bit more conspicuous, that you can actually keep it at a lower level, still get your nicotine fix, use a higher nicotine if you need to in a smaller unit or something like that. There's really no call for that, and they're the few people who are giving this industry a bad name. And good thing is there's only a few of those people, and hopefully once they get told what they need to do, or told that they can't do it, they'll honor that and not put up such a
well, because I can't go to the mall and drink a beer or anything like that. I would like to do that. Maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm just jealous he gets the vape and I don't get to have my beer. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the difference in that is, that's county laws too. So, every county's got different laws for alcohol and stuff. I mean, some towns allow you to carry a beer around downtown when you're downtown. But then if you go out in the county, that may not be the same law. That law may, maybe if you go off the premises of a restaurant and you have your beer in your hand, they could fine you for that.
Definitely. Or take you to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
I have definitely been to one of those cities where you can walk around and drink a beer.
Austin, Texas is like that.
Savannah is definitely like that.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Savannah's actually a pretty good place to go to walk down the city dock or whatever they call it, the city walk, and do that. Go from bar to bar and carry your drink with you.
Yeah, my best friend who actually works for David is here, and his older brother lives in Bluffton, which is next door to Savannah, and we've gone down there a few times to visit him and hung out in Savannah. But
Nice.
we have a question from somebody on Twitch, and this is one of those questions you can choose to answer or choose to kind of shove it to the side because it's on a touchy subject. But Logix on Twitch asks, how do you feel vaping could help the cannabis industry?
I prefer to stay out of that whole arena. I will say that the CBD oil that is available is legal.
Now, that is the painkiller one, right?
That is the one, yes. That's the one that's derived from hemp. A lot of stores sell it. I choose to stay out of that and stay true just to vaping. There have been people who have come in and asked about it, hey, can we get THC oil or, can you add it to it? There are devices that are out there. There's even dry herb devices too. Some of the shops in the area do sell those as well. I just choose to stay out of that because that invites an unwanted element into my shop. And also, it also invites in the police speculation as to what's going on here too.
Oh yeah.
So I prefer to stay out of that kind of stuff. Yes, I guess it can be done. I don't condone it. If it was legal in South Carolina as a medical thing, I'm sure you could probably get it prescribed to you and then vape it. But until that happens, I don't see that that's going to be anything that's going to be mainstream.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would, but because I know that just from watching and knowing people and watching criminal stuff, all that kind of stuff. I mean, hash oil is because that's probably what they would use, right? Probably. But hash oil is a big industry now.
Yeah, the CBD oil. I've been approached by several different vendors of that kind of oil, and I know there's one shop up in Spartanburg that has it or maybe getting it. But again, it's as I said, it's not illegal. It's just I just don't prefer to get into that kind of.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It turns to be the waters get to be a little rougher.
Yeah.
When you get into that kind of
murky
stuff.
waters.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I'm in a nice lake, and now I'm going towards the swamp.
He wanted to specify. He didn't mean the use of cannabis, but he meant more in regards of the technology.
Oh, yeah. It's probably going to get... The technology is probably already there. In fact, I know it is. It's only going to get better. The technology has, leapt forward in the last year alone with the introduction of sub-ohming tanks that allow you to use sub-ohming coils. So that, basically you can get a tank now that can output almost as much vapor as one of the rebuildable decks that you have to build your own coils and wick your own wicks and then, drip your juice onto and stuff. The tanks are now sophisticated enough you don't really even need to do that if you don't want to. But yeah, it'll definitely, the technology is going to get better and better. Eventually, like computers, it's going to plateau at some point where you've gotten fast enough. There's really not much more you can do.
Right.
And I don't think the FDA regulations and things like that are going to slow that down. Most of the products come from China, and they actually have shown that they're pretty technologically sound in terms of producing stuff like this for the vaping industry.
Yeah.
But we're gonna flip the coin here and switch over to something that we all on Zen Speaks we like to talk about a lot. We're going to switch to comic books, and more specifically, we're going to talk about the movies that we're going to see very, very soon, and the CW's TV shows that they've created. But let's start off with some movie news since San Diego Comic-Con was this past weekend. We'll start with Cody's favorite. Let's start with Superman versus Batman.
Well, one of them are my favorites. Let's be specific there.
All right. So the big news since this movie started was the fact that Ben Affleck was playing the Batman. And I will say I'm one of those few that was skeptical of Batfleck, as they're calling him. I wasn't too on board with that whole idea, but now that I've seen the real first trailer that they've put out, I do think that we're in for a really good movie. I think we're going to see something that's going to be really, really awesome.
Yeah, I have to say that trailer was actually pretty nice and long too. 3 minutes and like 28 seconds or something like that, from what I remember. So they showed some pretty good stuff in there.
Oh yeah, they kind of let us know what the movie was about. They even showed Wonder Woman.
Yep.
We are going to see Aquaman in that movie, who is going to be played by Jason Momoa. I'm not sure when we'll see him in that movie because they haven't showed him in a trailer yet. So I'm thinking maybe towards the end of the movie or possibly an after credits kind of scene. Because
I think they'll save him.
comic book movies have become notorious for the after credit scenes here lately. Well, especially Marvel. Marvel has become notorious for it. DC not so much, but because they don't have the movie to push that kind of stuff yet. But so let's is Alfonso with us now? I see his thing popping up. He is Alfonso. We still can't hear you if you're here. So I don't know what to tell you, good sir.
I'll take over for him.
Okay. So Cody, what do you feel about the new Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice?
At first, I was very against it because I was not a Ben Affleck fan, as you know. This was on a earlier podcast.
Hey, nobody is as a good Batman as Michael Keaton.
I won't reiterate my hatred for Ben Affleck, and him being a superhero. But I was like, okay, I'm going to be open-minded. And once I saw this trailer, I have to say, it looks like he put a lot of work into it. And I'm going to give him a chance. But the movie looks like visually great. I like the long trailer. I like how the trailer it was long, but it didn't give you too much. Like, you know how movie trailers lately have almost gave you the whole story before you've seen the movie. Which I have a big beef with a movie called Southpaw about this. Mm-hmm. So, because it's basically they already gave away the whole premise of the movie. But this movie, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I actually do like the Wonder Woman, even though I was on the boat for Gina Carano, like you, Charles.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't always get what you want.
Right.
She looks like she's going to be a decent Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Gal Gadot. I mean, she looks cool.
How about that outfit too?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty hot.
Cody, you might be able to correct me, but is that the new 52 armor that they gave her?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. The armor that she wore in the trailer. What were you going to say?
Even the Batman suit.
Yeah, well, it
has the shorter ears and all that. It's more towards the new 52 as well.
Isn't that the Dark Knight, though?
But I mean, they used that in the new 52 as well. But yeah, that is more the Dark Knight because even with the suit was used in the Dark Knight.
Because that bat symbol is the Dark Knight symbol, right?
Yeah, I noticed that the symbol on the bat signal was the old throwback bat. Bat symbol. But
most of the outfits that they're using are the new 52 outfits, which is funny because the new 52 just came to a almost screeching halt with the convergence that they had in the comic series recently.
Yeah, but they're still pushing. They're still pushing out issues. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because all the Batman and Detective comics that came out since the convergence, are still New 52, and it's still following the same storyline. It's like the convergence never happened.
Right, but
I don't know what it's even doing.
So my speculation for the movie. My speculation for this movie is going to be it's going to be really good. Mm-hmm. This movie will definitely, I think, is going to get everyone pumped for the Justice League movie. The only place that I think this movie is going to fall short, and don't take this the wrong way, I like our Superman, but I don't think this is the Superman that is going to fit well with the Batman and the Wonder Woman, which we don't know. One, I don't know, what this Wonder Woman's going to be, her kind of attitude. Is she going to be, the Justice League animated series Wonder Woman? Is she going to be the New 52 Wonder Woman? Which is she going to be, which Wonder Woman personality is she going to be taking? And I think because Superman's, he's the figurehead of the Justice League, really, I don't think he is going to be the best type of leader. Like his personality from the movie, the previous movie we saw, because we know that that's the same Superman from that movie that's going to be in this movie. Actor and character is going to be the same one. Because they bled over the Superman movie into the Superman versus Batman movie in one particular scene that we saw. But what do you feel about the new Superman Batman movie as a whole?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they actually play it all out. Superman and Batman have always had kind of an adversarial love-hate relationship, within the Justice League and other crossovers they've done in terms of their comics and stuff. So it depends on which way they go with it. It's not going to be a friendly thing, apparently. It's going to be pretty adversarial to start off with, and we'll see what happens there. I don't think even at the end of the movie they're going to be truly trusting each other. As to how things are going to go, because both of them are such, high level characters that are independent and everything else. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I recently watched the movie Justice League War, which was kind of about them, all the superheroes not really knowing each other and then kind of joining forces at the end. But if you really want to know how little Batman trusts everyone, you need to watch Justice League Doom. Cody, I know, has seen it. But that movie it really shows you how little Batman trusts anybody. Because the premise of the movie is Batman has these protocols for each of the Justice League members, how to take them down if they were to go AWOL.
Wow.
And
Ra's al Ghul steals them.
No, it's not Ra's al Ghul. It's Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage, I'm sorry.
Vandal
Why
Savage.
did I get mixed up? Oh, the comic. They had a comic with Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's al Ghul got a hold of something.
But
like
Vandal
that.
Savage used Mirror Man, who was one of Flash's bad guys, to sneak into the Batcave and steal it. But that's the premise of that movie. So if anyone's interested to see how little Batman trusts anybody in his universe, watch Justice League Doom. That was a really, really great movie. And in the one I most recently watched, Justice League War, you actually got to see Cyborg origin a little bit. Not the normal origin of Cyborg, but it's a origin nonetheless. So we'll jump onto the what's another movie?
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Did you get to watch that trailer?
No.
Oh man.
I'm actually hot for some odd reason. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, I know Ant-Man's coming out.
Came out last night.
Came out last night. So that looks interesting. I don't know how well that's going to do. But I didn't think Guardians of the Galaxy was going to do as well as it did either. So maybe we'll be surprised.
And a lot of people say Guardians of the Galaxy was before is really between Batman, the Nolan universe, and Guardians of the Galaxy and the Iron Man movies. That's really what's kind of jump-started this superhero craze. I'm going to actually play the trailer for him. I'm not going to put the volume on because it'll reverb through the microphone, but just so he can kind of get the visual of what's going to happen with this universe. But
I don't know, but not mind you. I mean, but I think half of the hype is what the audio, so he'll have to go back and watch it with the audio.
But I'm gonna talk him through some of the stuff. The woman that's sitting at the center of the table is Amanda Waller, if you remember.
Okay.
But I think her character was very well portrayed.
That's similar to what she looks like in the Justice League series that's been out.
Yeah.
As opposed to the one that's on the Flash.
Oh yeah, the Amanda Waller on the Flash the Flash in the Arrow series is. I like her a lot better. I think she's a little more hardcore. She's a little more brutal. But and now Cody, we're in the scene with they're walking into the cage with Harley Quinn. So I think I was on the fence about Harley Quinn. I didn't know how to feel about her. I can't remember his name, the skeleton guy.
El Diablo.
El Diablo.
Oh,
okay, that's Will Smith being Deadshot. And it's actually going to give us some of the origins of these characters, and that's Croc. I think he came from Batman, didn't he?
Yes, Killer Croc.
Killer Croc, yeah. But we're gonna.
I think he's been a villain in other stuff as well, though.
Yeah, he's crossed over, but he's definitely been. And there's the Enchantress. But the movie circles around the actual Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller created this team of villains to do the government's dirty work, basically. So I want to kind of know what they have on them to get them to do the things that they do. And in the trailer, she even says, if they screw up or something, we have deniability. They're bad guys. We can deny ever having anything to do with them. So, but we're definitely we get to see origin of Joker and Harley Quinn, because there's scenes in the trailer that show her before she was Harley Quinn, and there's scenes that show Joker before he was Joker. So we're definitely it's gonna be an interesting little movie. And here's the scene. Here's the scene with Jared Leto. This is what changed my entire mind about the movie. And Katana, who was in the Arrow show.
Yes.
At this last season. So it's interesting. Real bad.
Now they kind of introduced the Joker on Gotham, the series.
Yeah, they had that one episode. I wish, Cody, you watched Gotham, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Of course I did.
You watched that episode. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I love how they gave him or had him do all the different Joker laughs from all the Jokers in the history of,
pretty
the
much.
movies and TV.
yeah. So okay, since we've had, this will be the fifth Joker we've had. Jared Leto will be the fifth one, right? Yeah.
Wait.
Would you include the one from the 60s series too? Cesar Romero, I guess.
Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger,
Heath Ledger,
Mark Hamill, and Jared Leto.
And when did Mark Hamill play it?
He
was an animated. All the animated.
He
Jokers.
did all the animated Jokers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He even did the one for.
He did the movies too.
Yeah, he did the animated movies.
Because he was in Flash or Arrow.
He was actually in the Flash TV show as the Trickster.
Okay.
And he actually made a cameo in the season of the Flash as the Trickster who was still locked up.
Right.
And he escaped. So, spoiler warning, guys. Sorry I ruined that episode for you. That came out like months ago. But so how do we feel about Jared Leto's Joker?
I think it's a different take. If you read the Suicide Squad at all, you can definitely see how it fits.
Yeah.
Like the Joker, as far as doing the Suicide Squad, he has more of an edge because Suicide Squad, the comics are different. It's like it got more of its own little edge to it anyways.
Right.
Even though there used to be a Suicide Squad before this, I want to say probably the 80s. It was like a bunch of C-list villains that they put together kind of like this and did the same premise, but it didn't last long at all. Like it flopped big time, where this Suicide Squad has actually been quite successful, which we have to put that more on Harley Quinn more than anything, I guess, because she's became such a iconic character off a cartoon show, an anime series, nevertheless.
But she's more of a, here lately she's become more of a quote-unquote sex symbol for the geek culture.
Cosplay 101.
Yeah, I mean, any female who cosplays that wants to get attention, they definitely pull the Harley Quinn card. I mean, that's a very that one sells easy, just because it's so popular.
Well, just think about from what she looked like when she originally came on the anime series, to how she's evolved from the late '90s to the 2000s until now. She's basically became a stripper, or a over glorified porn star. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
I give you that, because I mean, in the Batman the animated series that came out in the '90s, that premiered on Cartoon Network. I mean, she wore the full Jester outfit.
Oh, it premiered on Fox.
Was it Fox?
The original anime series where she first showed up was on Fox. Yeah, it used to be it was the first anime series of that kind to actually be featured prime time.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Huh.
It was actually originally a prime time show, because that's why it has a little darker edge than the newer Batman cartoons. If you noticed, anime series, the storytelling's darker and better.
But the art for that was a lot of the old, like early '40s, 40s Batman. It was the older looking Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I like that cartoon. I grew up on that cartoon. But going from Harley Quinn's origins in that show to her now, I mean, that she has changed. Her costume's changed. I definitely see DC trying to modernize their comic book series with making the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn relationship actual canon thing now in the series. That's something they've pushed in the comic books now, is that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are actually in a relationship together.
Oh, that's interesting, because in Gotham it's Catwoman and Poison Ivy.
See, I wouldn't have known that because I don't watch the show.
Which you're doing a disservice to all comic readers.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get caught
by not pushing that show.
It's actually really well done.
Once it gets put once it gets put on Netflix, I will definitely be watching it because I'm one of those people, I like to binge watch things. So
I hate to break it to you. I think you're not going to see it on Netflix. They don't put Fox shows on Netflix.
Yes, they do.
Besides Family Guy, what else do they put on there?
American Dad.
That's really Cartoon Network, though.
Kind of, sort of, but I don't know.
I don't see The Simpsons on there.
Oh, well, that's true. I'll give you that.
And I don't see none of the primetime shows on there either.
Although 24 is on there, so
24 is on there.
Yeah, 24 is on there. Yeah.
Okay, well, there defeats my argument.
But I mean,
Touch is on there. I'm trying to think of what else is on there. There are a few, but you're right. Fox doesn't do it, just like CBS doesn't do Hulu.
Right? Yeah.
But Fox does do Hulu, and I think they have the whole season on Hulu.
And there for a while, they did have it on the actual website of Fox website, like the whole season. I think they eventually started only putting the last few, but there for a while, the whole season was up there. Because I had my mom watch it, and because she didn't watch it first run, and she watched all the episodes on the actual Fox website.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how they've done that series. Gotham has really turned out to be a good series.
Yeah, I am gonna watch it, but let's move back to the Suicide Squad movie. So what? If you go back and you look at all the different Jokers, you see Jack Nicholson's Joker. He was a gangster. Cesar Romero was. Man, there's been this picture floating around on Facebook for a couple days now, where people took and compiled all the pictures of all the Jokers and kind of gave them a subtext about what kind of Joker they were.
Oh, interesting. I've not seen that yet.
And the one that they gave for Jared Leto was psychopath.
Yeah.
I wish Alfonso could talk, because he actually had a good point about this Joker. I think he is going to be more of assassin kind of Joker. He's gonna be a crazy like the rest of them, but he's gonna be more like a tactful kind of crazy. He's gonna be more crazy when it comes to like the actions that he does, but he'll be tactful about it. He won't be necessarily just off the handle crazy.
Well, okay. I'd like to ask you guys this question. Which Joker was y'all's favorite Joker?
Well, I grew up with Cesar Romero because that was in reruns when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and
me
actually,
too.
what turned into Fox actually was the station that aired it in my area. I don't know. I grew up with that one, but I liked the one that Jack Nicholson played too. You know, and he was kind of a psychopath in his role too.
Yeah.
In certain episodes.
Oh, they labeled Heath Ledger as the anarchist on that picture.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that now.
Yeah.
My favorite Joker. Well, see, okay. I'm biased though because I grew up on the Batman cartoon, and I grew up watching the Adam West TV show. So I have to go with the Mark Hamill's voice, and Cesar Romero was that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go with those two because I mean I love the cheesiness of the Adam West Batman show. I loved that show.
With the zap at the pow.
Yeah, I mean I have
the
all
corny
the
corny jokes that
Yeah.
Robin would tell us they're scaling a building and that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. Yeah.
I have all those
the Blu-ray.
episodes.
I have that big Blu-ray set they came out with.
And they
box.
actually did a movie too. They did an actual
I've got the movie too, where all the bad guys teamed up, and yeah, I have that one too.
Talking about that, about all the bad guys, that was definitely the best Penguin.
Yeah.
From the Adam West series.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Penguin. I haven't seen much of Gotham, but I kind of like the Penguin in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I don't.
You don't imagine him being tall and skinny though.
Yeah.
You know, you see. I mean, even in the comics, he was always short and fat.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I think it's because of the way he fidgets and the way he's got this nervousness about him.
You're talking about psychotic, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Which the Penguin in comics was never that way. That's the only thing I like how take Gotham as a separate thing. And I mean, no, it's loosely based off Batman because, for example, I mean, we're going back to Gotham, but I'm sorry. But the Penguin, I was just going to say, in the Penguin's thing, Penguin was always rich. And on this, he's not rich. He comes in as a flunky. He goes. You see his mom. She lives in a 1-bedroom apartment. It just don't fit the origins of what Penguin's always been. Cobblepots.
Didn't he work for a gangster or some like gang in that movie, or in that show? In the show, yeah.
Yeah, which he's always been powerful because his family was one of the more powerful families in Gotham.
Right.
Cobblepots. So. I don't know. Besides that's about and Harvey Dent being older than Bruce Wayne, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was kind of on the fence about Harvey Dent. I've yet to actually see him in the show because I haven't watched enough episodes to actually see him.
Besides that, I love the show. That was my only 2 gripes about it, if I had any gripe about it.
Right.
And that's like, for me, that's a little bit stretching because as a standalone show, it's amazing. But anyways, back to the characters. Yeah, I agree with you with the Mark Hamill. I think he was the best Joker. Just far as his mannerisms, the cleverness, but he was still psychotic at the same way. The biggest thing I had against the Jack Nicholson Joker was he was loosely played off the Killing Joke, but he was overly campy. Which, on the Killing Joke, if you've read that, you know that that Joker was not campy at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Do you know anything?
That was a super serious story.
Cody, since you've read it, I mean, you've probably read it more than I've only read it once, so my information is very limited. But he actually doesn't know anything about the Killing Joke.
Well.
So just give us.
I'm in the dark on this one.
Give us like a little 3-minute spiel about. Now we are talking about the 1988 Killing Joke, right?
I think it was 88. Yeah, 88 or 87. It was written by Alan Moore. Are you familiar with Alan Moore at all?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, he did Swamp Thing. He did the Watchmen. If I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay.
mistaken.
Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah, I used to
if
read
you
Swamp
know
Thing, so-
anything about them, then you can already tell that this Batman was going to go to a darker side.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this story was a one-shot story. Basically, where the Joker plans to make, because Commissioner Gordon never lost it. Like even all the criminals he had to deal with or whatever, he never really lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what the Joker set out to do was to drive Commissioner Gordon insane.
Oh wow.
And by doing that, he attacks Batgirl, or Gordon's daughter, paralyzes her, which spawned a new character called the Oracle. And he really did drive Commissioner Gordon insane. He succeeded in what he was wanting to do, but this was the most darkest, most psychotic version of the Joker that a lot of people have ever seen, besides the one-shot Joker book that came out, which the Heath Ledger version could be said you could spawn that off of that one. But with the Killing Joke, that's where all the Jokers got their influence from after the fact. Because Joker was always kind of cartoonish. He was a mastermind criminal, but he never did nothing like, he was still kind of goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Would say in the 80s and before, right?
Right.
But with this turned a new leaf where the Joker was sadistic, dark. A lot of people misconstrued the book as that Joker raped her, but he didn't. I mean, he did her nude and take pictures of her and stuff. But it was always perceived that he did that, but he didn't. But it was just it just showed that the Joker was a serious criminal. He was insane. And it changed the face of the Batman story arcs from now on.
It basically created this darker Joker.
Okay.
And from
A
there
darker
on,
Batman?
well, yeah, that too. I mean, that's where you see the Batman start to. He sees the line, but it's kind of a blurry line, and that's where you start to see him get a little more angry, a little more violent. And
just the stories themselves got more violent, and then of course you had Tim Burton take them ideals off of that, but make it campy anyways.
Yeah,
Right.
Which was probably the only negative. Now, at the time when I watched it, I was young, super young, so at the time I really enjoyed them. But when I look back and I see what he did with that story, I'm like, I get it. But then again, I'm like, I see why people do crap on it a little bit, because a lot of true comic elitists at the time did not gravitate towards the first Batman. They don't see it. They don't hold it up. They don't hold up, if that makes sense to them. To me, I still watch them. I mean, I'm never going to not watch them or anything like that.
Well, then you got the whole thing with Prince doing all the music for it too.
Oh yeah, that was a big hitting point on that as well. But you can't blame the Batman. You gotta blame Tim Burton. Because that was all his adaptation. But but basically the Joker that they used for Jack Nicholson, with the suit where he wore the Hawaiian shirt and everything like that. You remember where he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt when he kidnapped? Who was Kim Basinger in that movie?
Oh gosh.
Oh, man.
The love interest.
Yeah. What was her name?
But anyways, when he kidnaps her, that's like a lighter way. That's kind of basically what he did to why have I forgotten Batgirl's name? What's Commissioner Gordon's daughter's name? I cannot believe I forgot this.
It's not Barbara, is it?
No, Barbara's the wife. That's all I keep wanting to say.
Kitty. Was it Kitty?
No.
We'll just call her Batgirl. Okay. So Batgirl. So basically, when he breaks in and does the kidnap with Batgirl, he did the same kind of ideal, but he shot her in the leg.
Okay.
Shot her in the side actually, because he paralyzed her. But instead of putting the gas on, like he did on Kim Basinger. But that scene is basically taken out of Killing Joke, except it was not as brutal as or near as violent as
Yeah,
the Killing Joke version of that was.
because it completely like in that comic he completely just broke her like mentally.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Wow.
physical too.
Yeah, and this is where the character Oracle. I don't know if you've heard Oracle. This is where Oracle came from.
Okay.
Oracle
Yeah.
was Batgirl, and the Batgirl that was this one is the one that became Oracle.
Okay.
And and after this story, fast forward maybe another year later, that's when Jason Todd, the second Robin, got killed by the Joker as well.
Well, quote unquote.
Well,
Killed.
yeah, oh, yeah, he came back, but he was. I mean, at the time, he was dead.
Yeah, well, yeah. Jason Todd becomes the Red Hood.
Okay.
So
Yeah, he was dead for years though.
well,
Years
he was
before
in
they brought him
hiding.
back.
He was in hiding. Is
Well,
what
you know
they
what I
say.
mean.
He was
Before
in
they
hiding.
brought him out.
Yeah, well, one of the things I've read is that he was quote unquote killed, but the way they play it off is that he went into hiding and got in with some big, like pretty big mobsters and drug cartels and stuff like that, and made a lot of money, and that's when he was able to come back and like have all this stuff and have an army basically.
I'll tell you this: when I read that story arc,
Yeah,
dude was buried. Okay, I don't care what they try to tell you after that. They literally buried Jason Todd. I don't know.
Well, they seem to
I'm
have a
just
way
saying.
of resurrecting a lot of characters. I mean, look at Black Canary becoming White Canary in the new
oh yeah.
series coming up, and we'll talk about that later, I'm
Definitely,
sure.
yeah.
But let's move on to this one TV show so we can it started out as one of my favorites, but now I'm kind of on the fence about it. Let's move on to the Arrow. So we have Stephen Amell playing one of my favorite DC characters. And for some god awful reason, the people who wrote this show wanted to take it to a dark area.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever read Green Arrow comics,
He's always witty.
Yeah, he's always witty. He's always funny, and he has some moments that are serious, but he's never dark like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do respect the fact that what they did. I think it was a cool spin on the Arrow, but I got so sick of the should I or shouldn't I date this one person.
Well, I guess they had to make it appeal to more than just the hardcore fanatics or
Yeah.
fans of the show. You know, they wanted to get the general public and, get more fans, I guess is what they were trying to do to generate that so they could keep the series going. But, my girlfriend's not into superheroes per se, but she likes that show because it does have a lot of the
Right.
day-to-day human drama kind of thing too. I think that was part of it too. One of the things I really, really do like about the show, though, is the way that they've interwoven the past into the storyline. With him being on the island and then being in Hong Kong and that kind of stuff. They did a really, really nice job. I mean, it's basically two stories woven into one.
Which the first and second and part of the third season were great for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now the last part of the third season, well, really the whole third season, the first and second season really woven in good with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third season really didn't. I mean, we're gonna totally. I'm just gonna go ahead and say if you haven't watched season 3 of Arrow yet, I am so sorry, but we're gonna talk about it. Season 3, they had the whole Alpha and Omega virus thing. That was a big part, but you didn't know that till the very end.
Right.
So it was like it was building up to this part, and you didn't know how it actually was going to correlate to his past, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
He's going to release the Alpha and Omega.
Yeah. Well, they've caught up the backstory with the current story.
Right.
And I think that's where they should have taken a little bit more time building up that backstory and not catching up, to the current story.
So what did you? Okay, this is something Alfonso kind of got sick of this show with, and I'm saying this because he's not here, and I kind of agree with him, is the whole flashback scenario. Like, they were nice in the first and second season, part of the second season, because they actually correlated what was happening in the show at that given time. But towards the end, they kind of become a inconvenience or a time filler for the episodes to me, because they correlated, but you didn't know that till the very end.
Right.
So like it's almost like you could have just saved like those flashbacks to when he was dealing with the Alpha and Omega almost to the very end of when they actually ended up messing with it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about those all the flashbacks that happened?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think they spent way too much time on that one particular portion of it. They should have covered more after him, because they really didn't cover too much of him getting off the island, really.
Yeah.
They show that he's trying to get off with the submarine and all that kind of stuff, and then, they really don't show exactly how he gets to Hong Kong and all that kind of stuff too, and what he does with Amanda Waller and how that gets all started and everything else too. It's all of a sudden the next season you're seeing him with Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
And they've basically kidnapped him. And I think they went too much concentration into that Hong Kong stuff.
Which there's speculation that we may see something correlate into that in the 4th season.
Okay.
Because they haven't. There's been word Katana will be back, but we don't know if she'll be back to stay.
There's a lot of gaps that they need to fill in.
Right.
In the backstory.
And I agree. One of the things they need to fill in is how Amanda Waller found him on that island.
Precisely. Because,
when he wakes up and she's in that room, she said that they had kept an eye on him. So how did they know he was there? Who's, what did he get? Why was he, how did she find him there? And how did he actually why did he specifically end up on that island? Everything has a reason. So why did he end up on that island? I know he was on the boat with his dad, and they had set the bomb, Malcolm Merlin and his little crew set the bomb on that boat. And, but why that island? Because it played to the fact that, it was going to teach him how to be something. So was all of that planned from the get-go, or was it? That may
have been a coincidence because they knew that storm was coming, so they tried to coincide the sinking because they didn't want it to appear that it was a bomb that was set.
Right.
So they kind of made it happen at the same time the storm hit. And I think it was more of a coincidence than anything else, but that's my opinion on that part. But it is interesting, And the other thing about the whole thing, when his mother gets the boat brought back up and everything else and put in the storage area, they really didn't go into very much detail about why she did that and that kind of thing either. Because eventually it was going to be found somehow or another. Who stores this huge yacht that supposedly went down by accident in a storm, in a storage facility.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know what they've gone into in terms of the origin in the comic books, because I've never read really the Green Arrow's origin, in the comic books. But, it doesn't seem like, he has such a dark background.
He really didn't. I have not read terribly much about the Green Arrow. I like the Green Arrow as a character. I loved him in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. But the particular things that they played off in the TV show as that were in the comics is Oliver Queen. He is a millionaire from Queen Industries, which is a company that did exist in the DC universe.
Right.
He was very much anti killing. He wasn't in for the killing. He didn't believe in killing in the comics. Even the worst of people, he didn't believe in killing. He was very much about pacifying the situation. So there were, you could see some of that in the TV show.
Right.
He started off, he would kill the bad guys. Well,
Right.
then he changed his mind. He said, okay, I want to, I don't want to kill them. I just want to imprison them.
Right.
And so that kind of relayed back to the comics. And then, he was part of Queen Industries, which was the industry that his father started. And that was in the comics. But I think it was more him owning the industry than his father and his mother. But
he didn't have a whole team like he has in the TV show too.
He didn't have a team, but he had Speedy, who was he had Speedy and Red Arrow, right, Cody?
Huh?
Green Arrow.
Well, now Speedy's becoming Red Arrow.
His sister.
Yeah, I think he had Red Arrow, but
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I'm not a huge Green Arrow guy.
Okay.
Only thing I know from him is from like other comics that he's been a part of.
Right. So
Not his stuff.
in the Green Arrow universe, you've got Speedy, you've got Red Arrow, and Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Speedy, and you have Artemis now, thanks to Young Justice. Speedy was his first sidekick,
Which is what his sister's called in the
right
series.
Which was when I first heard that, I was like, "Oh man, is she gonna become Speedy? Like, is she gonna be But then you find out, like, first season, second season, you're just kind of like, oh, it's just what he calls her.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that he's got Roy now helping him, and he becomes Arsenal, who is really Red Arrow. And I made this comment to Alfonso like early on in the podcast when we were talking about Arrow, reviewing the episodes and stuff. I think Arsenal is probably the dumbest name for someone who wields a bow and arrow. When I hear Arsenal, I think of War Machine, like from
Heavy
Iron
artillery,
Man.
yeah.
I think of like War Machine from Iron Man or something like. That's what I think of when I think of Arsenal. But Red Arrow's fine, Speedy's fine. That's what they were called in the comics. But now we have his sister becoming an arrow wielder.
Well, she even asked in the last episode, what do you think of Red Arrow?
Yeah, I think she will become Red Arrow. I would much rather her become Artemis, because I like Artemis's character more than the angsty teenage Red Arrow. I just think we got enough of that with Roy in the series. I think that was just kind of his angsty character. We got enough of that with Roy. I think Thea needs to be more of the serious but comic relief person in the show. But I think we might see that. I mean, she's funny, but we'll see. When the new season starts, which he is now going to be the Green Arrow. It's no longer going to be the Arrow.
Yeah, how are they going to? I was kind of trying to figure out how they're going to start the next whole season because. He and Felicity go off riding off into the sunset, in the convertible and stuff. So something major's got to happen to get him back into Starling City to take on the.
Did you get to see his new costume?
No, I haven't seen any. I've been waiting to see when, because the season I think starts on the September 20th or 22nd or something like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Something serious has got to happen to bring him back.
Yeah, man, I can't find it. Where is it? I mean, I think it will be something.
And then you've got the whole spin-off now too of the time-traveling band of heroes.
That's the new Arrow. That's Stephen Amell in the new outfit.
Huh.
So actually, that's more towards the actual Green Arrow costume than anything.
He did have a short sleeve, and of course he wore the hat, with the feather in it and stuff too. But
I think that's a little too comic-y for them. I think the hood is what they're something they're trying to play towards. But I do think the new. Go ahead.
But it doesn't look like it doesn't look green. I mean, his arrows are green, but in the comic, of course, his whole getup is green. But.
Right. Well, the show started out gritty, so I think they're gonna still they're still gonna keep that momentum with the dark green outfit. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that this show did such a awesome job with playing off the relationship the Green Arrow and the Flash had. Mm-hmm. Because the Flash, the Green Arrow, and Green Lantern were all in cahoots pretty much together. They were all buddies. Well, except for the Green Arrow and the Green Lantern. They were they butted heads a lot.
Well, the Flash also brought a lot of comedy to, the kind of not the darkness, but the starkness of how Green Arrow was, because he was very cut and dry, and the Flash always brought some comedy to that.
Right.
And they did a really good job of doing that with the two series when they came together too.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have watched Flash, which I really enjoyed. I need to watch Green Arrow, but it's just so many episodes behind.
Yeah, 3 seasons, man.
Yeah, actually, some of the episodes that are in the Flash really don't make a lot of sense if you're not watching both of them.
Yeah, there are some good crossovers that you have to watch both to understand. The crossover at the end of the Flash was probably
It was interesting.
when he jumped in.
That was interesting. Yeah,
I want to know.
in his full
What-
get up from
Yeah, the League of Assassins.
League of Assassins.
Wait,
getup.
I want to know what Ra's al Ghul was thinking. Hey, where's Oliver at? Oh, he's off doing some stuff.
He probably did that when he went to go bring back Ra's al Ghul's daughter. It probably coincided with that, even though it didn't really in the timeline of the two shows. That's probably when that all occurred.
Right.
So, what do y'all think about Ra's al Ghul being a part of it? Because I'm not, because I never really read Flash or Green Arrow, or at all.
I'm only familiar with the League of Assassins and Batman.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was very surprised they brought that into the Arrow. But
Which I think, shoot me down if you want to, Cody, but I think them bringing the League of Assassins into Green Arrow is going to is foreshadowing to something much, much bigger that the CW is shooting for.
They're not getting Batman.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if they're going to do. I mean, they're adding the Atom now. They're adding White Canary and Hawk Girl and a lot of other people.
And Hawkman will be in Legends of Tomorrow. They said he would.
Oh, he's gonna be in it
He
too?
will be. He won't be a regular character, but he will
Cameos.
cameo in the show.
Well, the only reason I say that about Batman is because I don't know what kind of, even though Gotham's a different show, I don't know what kind of agreement there is with Fox. There might be an issue there.
Right.
But, where Superman, now I can see like other characters coming in, but I'm just not sure about Batman.
Who owns the rights to Superman?
Wouldn't it be
Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so
does.
wouldn't it which is a loose tie-in to CW, right?
Right.
Yes.
That's why the new, which we'll touch on this next. We'll touch on it before we touch on Flash, the new Supergirl show. But
Yeah, what is that going to be on? What network is that going on?
NBC.
Okay. So I have seen bits and pieces of
Yeah, it's going to be an NBC show. But I don't know if we'll see Superman on there. We might start seeing some. I think the biggest thing we'll see is we'll start to see some loose overflow of other things. Like we might see some overflow of Batman. We might see some overflow of Superman. I definitely think we're going to get Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying it. They aloof to it into Flash. That we, the Green Lantern is a character in that universe.
Yeah.
But the time period in which they referenced that scenario was the beginning of the Green Lantern start. So I think we might get to see a Hal Jordan extremely soon. I would say possibly towards the end of this next season of Flash. May even get to see it tie over into Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they also blend it into the movies into the TV series, like Marvel has done with Shield. With Agents of Shield.
We've talked about it on here before about the TV shows and the movies, but DC is just so
Disjointed.
they don't like their movies and their TV shows coinciding. They don't like them touching, which makes absolutely no sense to me because that's why people started watching Agents of Shield was because it tied directly into the movies. And if you watch the show,
Yeah, you would get actually little previews of what the movie was, so you had to kind of wait to watch the show till you went to see the movie.
right? And then the show actually timelined exactly what the movie's like. You saw the fall of Shield and the rise of Hydra. You saw the after effects of the Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what else? I mean, they tied in more stuff.
Yeah, they did. Captain America was tied into it, that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's funny that you mentioned that NBC is the one who's picking up Supergirl. I don't know if many people remember or old enough to remember back in the '80s. Actually, NBC is the one that carried the Flash.
With
they had 1 or 2 seasons. It didn't do well, but hopefully this Flash will do better. But yeah, they had the Flash back then.
Yeah, with he was at Comic-Con this year in Greenville.
We know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah, he was actually here in Greenville.
Oh wow. Okay.
Charging $35 for a picture of him with an autograph. So I was kind of disheartened by that.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually played the Flash's father in the TV show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, okay.
The guy in the prison.
Okay.
That was the guy who played the original Flash in the TV show.
Yeah, that's right.
Ah, okay.
So it's funny how they do those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little things for the old school fans. But I think the CW is on the right track. I think they've started something that now they can't undo.
Yeah, they can only add to it.
I think that they can't stop now. If they do, it will. The Flash and the Arrow and now Legends of Tomorrow, I think, are going to be their heavy hitters. This is what's going to start getting the most views.
Mm-hmm.
There are other shows I think are going to start falling to the wayside because my wife watched a lot of shows on the CW.
Well, I like the 100. I mean, that's
a really good show.
I don't know if they canceled it or not though. After that, I mean, because I'm hoping they're going to bring it back because they left it at a very critical point.
Right.
And it was
I don't
really
think it
dark.
got-
The last episode was really dark.
I don't
They
think it
killed all
got
the people.
canceled. I think it got renewed for
Okay,
another
I hope
season.
so.
What is that?
It's about the Earth after an apocalypse. There have been people who left the Earth during or right before the apocalypse, 100 years before, and they went to live on all the space stations that they put together that were out in orbit, and they were able to grow food and that kind of thing too. And but they were running out of oxygen. There was no way for them to scrub the air anymore, and that kind of thing too. So they had to figure out how to come back to Earth 100 years later, and then repopulate the Earth. But on the Earth, there are people that are living above ground that have, some of them have mutated and and become other things. There are people that live in these tunnels, which we later find out how they got to be that way. And then there's this other group that live in a mountain that is completely sealed off from all the radiation, and they cannot even exist in any radiation outside because even just the solar radiation, because they've become completely almost like the mole people.
Yeah.
Where they cannot withstand any radiation whatsoever without just kind of like
Yeah, even I remember
dying.
The one scene that sticks out to me is when they went and got the girl, the people that were like, something happened to them, and they went out and found them, and they pulled them back into the mountain, and they had to wear those hazard suits because they couldn't. I mean, Cody, to say they can't take radiation, that's like a vampire in the daylight.
Sunlight, yeah.
Like they can't. They literally they can't
Cannot
even
step
take.
outside.
They can't even take UV light radiation. Like they have to wear suits. Like that's
Wow. Well,
how well they've breeded out the ability to.
Even if they had their facility, a room of it open to the outside air, it would cause them to get radiation poisoning.
Yeah,
Wow,
I mean
that's different.
completely cut themselves off. But the show itself is really cool. I have actually made it 3/4 of the way through the first season. That's on Netflix.
The second season's even better.
Yeah, that I love. Trying to think of the best way to explain this show. It's hard to explain. It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. If you, I definitely suggest watching it.
If I can get the time to watch it, I'll definitely.
They have a
check
couple
it out.
people that were in Battlestar Galactica and Caprica.
Yeah.
That are in there. It's more of the a typical sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Sci-fi network show.
Yeah. It should. It's something that could have definitely been on Sci-Fi.
Oh man, I can't remember the last sci-fi, like what show you consider sci-fi I've watched.
Yeah, they've kind of fallen out. Continuum was really their last really good series.
And that's that's ended.
Yeah, they're only going to do 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah,
That's it.
they're wrapping this season up quick. Alfonso, he loves Continuum.
Oh yeah, we know this.
Yeah, he absolutely loves Continuum. I mean, I liked it too. I thought it was all right. I couldn't get myself really into it.
Yeah,
I think that was on our first round table.
Yeah, that was actually our first thing that we talked about on the round table was that show.
And I was talking how I had no idea what he was talking about, which was honest truth.
Yeah, you really. I mean, I knew about it, but you know, the Sci-Fi Network has really fallen short of what it used to be. It's more reality television and Face Off and Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
They have reality television on Sci-Fi?
Yeah.
Wow. I know they had wrestling for a while, but that's about it.
Yeah, they've lost, like, you know, Sanctuary's not on anymore.
That was another great show.
Yeah, it was. I was
Alfonso
surprised they
liked it
canceled
too.
that. Yeah, you know, and then when they lost the last version of Stargate, that was really their kind of
that was okay, here's my thoughts on Stargate Universe. Should have never happened.
Yeah.
They had something going good with well, Alfonso will disagree with me, which the last 4 seasons of first 4 seasons of Stargate Atlantis were great. 5th season, complete garbage. So, but I just think that you know, it could have Universe could have been so much better than what it was.
Yeah.
But,
and, you know, basically the CW's picked up where Sci-Fi Network left off. You know, doing Supernatural and doing getting away from all those things like the 90210 reboot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, I cannot believe they even did that.
I know.
See, and originally, you know, when you talked about the Flash and the Arrow and all that stuff, I automatically panned it just because it was on the CW.
Yeah, I did it first too, and I didn't even see the first season. I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." And then I started following it, you know, each time it came out. You know, so they've done a good job in the last 3 or 4 years. Well, actually, if you consider the last 10 years, because that's when Supernatural started. But,
Yeah.
They've really picked up a lot of that stuff that Sci-Fi would have had.
Right. Sci-Fi definitely. I mean, I think we're at a time now where Sci-Fi is starting to get cycled out because it's been around for a little while, but the people who are running Sci-Fi now I don't think they know what they're doing. They're not doing as, I mean, you had like Commander C 2121 on Twitch says, you know, Stargate SG-1. That actually didn't start out on Stargate or on that did not start on Sci-Fi. Is what I was trying to
That
say.
started on like My 40 or something.
No, it was on USA, I think.
USA, and then it was made by. It was actually season 1. I think started
Fox,
on.
maybe even been Fox.
It was MGM had a television station.
Right.
It started on there because MGM Studios made it.
Okay.
Then it went, I think, to USA, and then eventually, I think the 4th or 5th season was picked up on Sci-Fi.
Okay.
That makes sense because USA Sci-Fi is all owned by Universal and NBC.
Okay. Yep.
So, and I just think Sci-Fi, you know, they were the go-to channel for the geek culture that was into that kind of stuff.
And the really bad B.
Yes. Yeah, and
movies.
I'm one of those people that love those B and C rate movies. I loved them.
That's what I liked about Sci-Fi. I'd flip through the channel late at night and watch a shitty movie. That was my night.
And they replayed all the Star Trek Enterprise episodes and stuff.
I wasn't a big Trekkie fan. I'm staying true to my Star Wars roots, so I will say the new Star Trek movies that have come out, Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, that's really got me back into Star Trek. Like, that's what put me back into it.
That's because of J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is phenomenal at what he does.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, that was why I was really glad to see, actually, and getting off on another subject, which I think we were going to talk about later anyway, I'm really glad to see him involved with Star Wars.
Oh, most definitely. I think that that Star Wars is going to be. Disney owns it.
Mm-hmm.
Disney spent a lot of money buying Lucasfilms
Yes, they
and Lucas Entertainment, who makes video games.
Mm-hmm.
They have spent a lot of money. I know Disney has a lot of money, but they spent a lot of money on Lucasfilms.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that this will be a make or break period.
I agree with you. I think they need to get back to some of the campy comedy that they had on the first 3 episodes that they
Right.
made. And with these characters, hopefully they will get back to that, because that was what was missing on the other 3 that came out more recently.
Right.
There wasn't the interaction between the characters like there was in the original, 4, 5, and 6
Right.
episode.
And I'm excited about the new Star Wars movie. I'll say, Commander C says that J.J. Abrams is a miniature version of Steven Spielberg and how he directs movies. I'll say that he is a modern day Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Spielberg, but he's definitely a modernized Spielberg, because the way they do movies now is not the same way they did movies back when Spielberg was really pumping them out. So, I agree in that statement a little bit.
He's good at incorporating the action into the grandiose scheme
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
whole movie,
I
and
agree with
making
that.
it look spectacular.
Yeah.
Specifically in the Star Wars or in the Star Trek movies that he's done, and I don't know what other movies he's done, but some of his TV shows are the same way.
Yeah.
Where they really spend a lot of money on the effects and stuff, and it really makes it look and feel. You feel like you're actually there.
Right.
The way that they do it.
Oh, most definitely. So let's touch on this one show that I'm not entirely sure is going to make a whole lot for NBC, and I don't think it's going to actually. I think it'll get a season. It might get 2 seasons, but I highly doubt a 3rd season.
Would that be Supergirl?
Yeah,
I'm wondering about that too. They've tried to do that before, and it just never happened. It just never panned out.
Yeah, I think that we will see. To me, this first pilot episode is really, really gonna make or break the Supergirl show. They have shown in the trailer for the first season, that they're not afraid to say that Superman exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a picture that a guy took. He's going to be, I can't remember what his name is, but he's in the trailer, and he's going to be a reappearing character, and he's one of the photographers that got a picture of Superman when he saved the city. And he's got the picture hanging on his wall.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not afraid to say that he exists. And she even mentions the fact about that it's her cousin. So
I hope they don't miss the mark and do it like a Charlie's Angels version of Supergirl.
that's
like they did with Wonder Woman.
That's where I think it's
Yeah.
going. That's where I think
If
it's
they
going.
do that, that's going to miss the
Now,
mark.
Wonder
It's not
Woman
gonna
was
do
great.
well. Wonder Woman was good, but it was still kind of Charlie's Angel kind of thing,
Yeah. I just think that might be where this is going, and it's going to be more. This show is really, truly going to be more for the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just have
for the
trouble
guys who
believing.
want to watch her too.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think the story plot, the plot of the show, and the things like that are going to more appeal to female audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guys that are going to be watching it are going to be the ones that watch it that are angry about it. The ragers about the comic book series and stuff, I think they're going to be the ones that watch it that get upset about it. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not going to instantaneously shoot it down, but I will definitely give it a shot and try it out. I'm not gonna do like I did with Suicide Squad. And as soon as they released the picture of Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, I was just like, oh, garbage, not gonna see it.
Yeah.
And now that I saw the trailer, and I was just kind of like, oh wow, I'm definitely gonna go see this now.
I think just to hear Jared Leto was going to be Joker ruined it for a lot of people.
But Alfonso had a point. Jared Leto is a great actor.
He is.
He is a really great actor. But the Supergirl show, I don't know, man. I'm gonna stay on the fence about it.
You know why I have trouble thinking it's going to do well? Is because Constantine didn't do well on NBC, and that show was really, really good.
Well, that show should have been on Fox to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a darker show in the first place, but it was so well done. I was just really surprised that. I mean, it was hard for me to watch it because of the time slot they gave it.
Yeah.
You know, Friday night. I mean, of course, you have DVRs and stuff now, but at that time, I was recording a lot of stuff on Friday night, so it was just hard for me to keep. I mean, I eventually caught back up on it. But I thought it was a really good show, and it fell flat. So I just don't know how, because usually to me the NBC audience today are more into like Law and Order.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never see the warning, whatever content or whatever content,
Yeah.
explicit content or whatever, that they used to have on. What was it on Fox? There were a couple of shows like 24.
Yeah.
They would have they'd say viewer discretion advised or something like that.
Right.
But they've never done that on NBC, as far
Yeah.
as I know. I've never seen them do that kind of thing.
I'm gonna give Supergirl a shot. I'm gonna try to watch it. Of course, I'm gonna watch it because we do comic books and it's comic book related. So I gotta be in the know on it.
But can they pull it off being a standalone one superhero kind of thing?
Yeah, because she's not an A-level superhero.
No, she's a Titan. She's she's on the same level as the Titans. She's not like Power Girl. I mean, Power Girl in herself, she's a class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, Supergirl to me was just another sidekick that when they would start. Okay, because here's how DC happened to me. I mean, you can sum it up when they start adding all these characters.
Mm-hmm.
You had your heroes, then Robin came out, so then Superboy came out, then these other little sidekicks come out, then you had women. They're like, oh, we need to add girls. So
Wonder Woman.
I don't know which one was first, Batgirl or Supergirl, but one of them came out first, and then every comic that was DC that had a male version, they had a counterpart that was female at the time.
Yep.
Some of them flopped, some of them stayed, but it was like the same thing with the sidekicks. Like, but you think about how many sidekicks they are, and some of them characters it was unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, Green Arrow was the only one, the most recently got a female sidekick. Artemis didn't appear until I want to say last 6 or 7 years. Artemis popped up. So,
Yeah.
But Arrow didn't start gaining speed up until recently. Well, I won't say recently. Arrow started picking up more a couple of years back, and that's really what, like before the show started. Arrow comics started getting really good.
Yeah, but if you look at the the main characters of the Justice League that had their own comic, like Superman and even Flash, wasn't they a girl Flash at one time? That's not her name, but there was a female version at one time.
I think there was a female sidekick.
And Aquaman
I'm pretty sure there
had a
was.
female counterpart.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah,
Aquaman had one too.
and I mean, I think most of them. I know for a fact Robin was the first sidekick, but I'm not sure about the females. I don't know if Batgirl was first, but Batgirl came out early on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then Superman followed suit with both because Superboy came out later on as well.
But
So-
didn't Batman have 2 Robins before he had Batgirl?
No,
It was
it was just Dick Grayson was still Robin.
okay. I
Yeah, when Batgirl came out, because Batgirl was actually on the old the 60 show.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do Nightwing until way later on.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that was towards Teen Titan time, right? They've
Nightwing.
already put it. But no, like once once Nightwing became Nightwing, by that time Teen Titans was already out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so by that time I know Batgirl was around by then. So
Yeah. Supergirl. Okay, I think it'll be all right. I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to the Flash now because I really really want to talk about the Flash. I'm really excited about the Flash show. That's probably been that was the mile marker for me this year for TV shows. Hands down, best season finale I have ever seen. Best cliffhanger I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this new season of Flash is really gonna change some stuff because did you get to watch the new at Comic-Con at San Diego Comic-Con they released a new trailer for Flash.
No, I haven't seen it.
So Cody knows a little bit about the Flash now. They're actually splitting the Reverse Flash and Professor Zoom. They're going to be two different people this time. Because in the comics, Professor Zoom was Reverse Flash.
Okay.
Wait, I thought in the show well, never mind.
They didn't refer to him as Professor Zoom.
No.
Okay.
No, they didn't.
They
I know
just
that, but
they just
I
referred
kinda-
to him as the Reverse Flash.
Maybe,
but see-
maybe.
Well, and then of course they say his name too.
Yeah, Eobard Thorne. He is Professor Zoom, I do believe.
Okay.
But now, in the trailer, they talk about and Jay Garrick's going to be in this new season.
Mm-hmm.
Who the
What
first
was the
Flash?
helmet that came out of when the
Jay Garrick's hat.
Because that was the other Flash.
That was the old man Flash. The Jay Garrick, the one in the red shirt and the blue jeans.
Right, with the helmet with the wings on it.
Yeah, the Artemis hat, or not Artemis, the Hermes hat.
Yeah.
That's Jay Garrick's hat.
Okay.
Who was the old man Flash.
Okay.
From the New Frontier, and the old Flash, but he's gonna be in the next season, which is
Interesting.
awesome because apparently he comes back from the future and he's like, my name's Jay Garrick. I'm here to, your world is in trouble, kind of thing. That's what you watch this character with the Speed Force running around the city with blue lightning falling.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you hear Jay Garrick start talking, and then it says there's a thing that comes across the screen that says Zoom is coming. So, are we going to see Professor Zoom? Are we actually going to see a Professor Zoom? Like Flash's just ultimate arch nemesis, his yin to his yang.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope that's what we're going to see. I hope we're going to actually see that in this next season because we need a big event in the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I know Eobard Thorne, the story arc that they had in this first season was really good, but I think it's time that they open up the Flash universe, blow it wide open and let us see everything that's there because the second season is really what's going to build their true fan base. Because if you watch the first season, you enjoyed it. When you go to watch the second one, this is which one's going to really hook you and keep you on for the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one was just building, how he was realizing what he could do, what his powers were, how fast he could go, how he could push himself and boost his powers and all that stuff. And now it's going to be okay. Where are we going to go from there?
Right, and I think the second season, I hope they're gonna blow the whole universe out.
And they're also going to both Arrow and the Flash are going to be involved in the other series that'll start mid-season.
Yeah, the Legends of Tomorrow is going to be.
They have cameos.
I think that show's strictly going to be cameo central. I think they're gonna pop characters in and pull them out, and then just kind of keep floating people left and right like that. And see, that's where I'm on the fence about the Green Lantern. We may see him on that before we see him on the Flash, and maybe the other way around, because the gist of the Legends of Tomorrow is that, and here we go again, another Batman supervillain being brought in the mix, Vandal Savage. He is a Batman bad guy. Well, kind of Batman Superman bad guy, because they both kind of take him on. They take him on together most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see these B classes take him on.
Mm-hmm.
Because Adam's B class, White Canaries, somewhere between B and C to me. Hawk Girl. She's actually A class. Because
Atom is also A class, I would say.
In some aspects, I'll give him A class, and then others I won't. Like, he doesn't have a following like the rest of them, but ability-wise, he's got the technology to keep him up to par with some of these guys. But like someone else told me, Adam is just DC's version of Iron Man. They're almost the same guy. I mean, even...
Well, but in the comic book series, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
They've really strayed from that in the comic book.
The TV show is really playing him off to be like Tony Stark. But he's not as...
weapon sophisticated.
And he's not as rough-edged as Tony Stark is.
And,
He's very much point and click.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Yeah, I think that this show will be interesting because Vandal Savage is one of those villains that doesn't ever go away. He's an immortal. He doesn't die.
You know, I think with that series though too is what they're doing is they're testing the waters for Justice League to see how a group of superheroes working together can function and see if it'll be accepted.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they brought Heatwave, or I think that's what his name was.
Oh, no,
the Flash.
It's Firestorm.
Firestorm. I love that they brought Firestorm.
Firestorm came out as a comic when I was probably in 13, 14 years old, and I read the first whole year's worth, probably 2 years worth of that. It was actually a very well done comic book series.
Yeah.
They haven't really fleshed that whole character out though very well yet. As to how they interact and that kind of thing too. So, but they're getting there, and I was really surprised to see them bring Firestorm out because he was pretty much a brand new superhero in the '80s, and he was more of a B superhero.
Yeah.
Of course, they also had the Dial H for Hero.
Yeah.
Comic books too.
Golly.
In the '80s.
I listened to another podcast, and there's a guy on there. His name is Bob Breyer, and he's I'll say he's probably in his mid 60s, and so he's got to see the golden age. So he talks a lot about the Dial H for Hero comics, and I was like, whatever he talks about, I'm just like, oh man. Those were either really good or really bad.
They had a cult following, but
they did. But I think that now that CW's done all this, that they're gonna have to keep going. Who are we gonna see next? Maybe a Green Lantern show. Maybe. I'm praying. I'm hoping because I am a huge Green Lantern fan. That's my wedding band.
Oh wow.
Cody's seen my wedding band. I have a Green Lantern. I have the Green Lantern symbol imprinted on my wedding band. My wife picked it out for me.
I actually want to ask you some Green Lantern trivia.
Don't do this. Not while we're live.
I'm just saying. I was just curious. When did you think Vandal Savage first appeared on a comic, and which one?
Vandal Savage first appeared, I want to say it was Superman.
Nope.
Was it Batman?
No, Mr. Green Lantern.
Was it on Green Lantern?
Wow.
Yep, 1944.
Oh, well, see, I haven't read anything previous 1970 for Green Lantern.
I don't care. You should have known that.
I haven't read anything. if it's pre 1970, I haven't read it. So,
well, no, I just like to give you a hard time about it. But I mean, he was actually because I wanted to read a little bit on Vandal Savage because the only thing I know him from is from the animated movies and from Justice League. So I was just curious on like what was his origins and stuff. I was kind of reading it while y'all were going on y'all's talk. So I just found that out. But I was like, I wonder if he knows this. Because I know how much of a that is your favorite superhero by far, I would say. Green Lantern. Or the Lantern Corps.
Yeah, I not specifically just the Green Lantern himself, but we actually did a podcast about our favorite superhero. We talked about it, and I said I'm not specifically favoriting Hal Jordan. I love the Green Lantern Corps as a whole, because of what they stand for as a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I could go back on that speech. I give that whole speech again. Cody was just like, "Whoa." When I get that speech, but they're a police force for the universes,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like they stand for a universal good. Now the Guardians, they are a little funny because they sometimes feel that certain things are beneath them, but Jordan and John Stewart tend to make them realize that they need to be more humble about their actions. So I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be awesome if we get a Green Lantern show. I thought the Cartoon Network show was phenomenal. I hate that they did not give it more than what it got. Cartoon Network's been really kind of crapping on their TV shows here lately, with a one and done, kind of giving us one season then throwing it away. So I think that if we get another Green Lantern show, I think it'd be awesome. Maybe not live action. I've always thought Green Lantern should be animated just because you can do more with it. You can show more of the crazy universes and crazy stuff that they see.
Right.
It did not look hokey and stuff.
Right. Like the movie I tend to forget happened. I try
to forget.
I try to forget about that movie sometimes because it was just so bad.
But he will not. So that Green Lantern will not be on a Justice League, or will he be the Justice League Green Lantern?
Are you talking about?
You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Deadpool.
Oh no, he is done with DC. He said
Okay.
he actually made a press statement about that. He said that he is now contracted with Marvel. He is DC can't actually make a movie with him.
Who's this?
Ryan Reynolds.
They probably don't want to after that.
Well, like I said before, you can only do so much with a pile of crap. The script was poorly written.
Yeah.
The movie was poorly written. The effects were pretty good, but I mean, you can only do so much with a pile of crap.
I think Ryan Reynolds would be a better Deadpool than he could be a Green Lantern. I
Yeah.
think that it's his snarkiness, his tries to be funny but kind of a smart ass. With his because he is funny sometimes. He has been in funny films, so I could see him playing a Deadpool more than I could see him playing Green Lantern.
Right.
Now visually, he looked cool as a Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a really good Hal Jordan.
Yeah, but just his mannerisms and stuff. It's just
someone that they're speculating will be in the at San Diego this year. They announced a Green Lantern Corp movie.
Oh, cool.
Sadly, it will be another 4 years before we get it because it was announced for 2020. But
Wow.
So they're speculating that, and it will be, from what I understand, there will be multiple Earth Green Lanterns in it.
let
So
the countdown begin.
yeah, no joke. But there's speculation that they're gonna cast Chris Pine as Hal Jordan. I could see it. He's a little short, but I could see it. I'm interested to know if that's who they're gonna pick.
I don't know.
One thing I've noticed, since we've been talking about comic books and stuff, we're primarily talking about DC universe. What about the Marvel universe? Or is that something for another whole show?
No. That's more. That's. Me and Cody kind of agree. That's more Alfonso's thing. I mean, we both like. Cody's more gotten into Marvel recently than later, like earlier. But I mean, I keep up with the Marvel universe. I think that what they're doing is great. I'm kind of I kind of think that Marvel is definitely. Well, me and you talked about this, Cody. Marvel is definitely kicking DC's butt when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and even comics really now. DC, Marvel's just owning them in the comic industry too.
It used to be DC was the one. Now Marvel's kind of stepped up their game a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because back in the '80s it was the Superman movies, and then they had Batman and all that stuff. So,
But can I say this personally? I mean, like, I know I'm biased with DC, with Marvel, but for me, like, and I've been reading some Marvel, and I've enjoyed some of it. Like, I've opened my mind up and been reading some Marvel from, Charles and Alfonso, because I read Image and DC.
They're independent.
That's my go-to. Like, them are my two. Like, them are my go-to things. I mean, there's a couple comics I read from other avenues, but that's my main two.